Hello.
Hello.
Begun?
Now we're here. Hello.
Got me. I'm trying to figure out my weekly
I was
target.
like setting this all up, and then I'm like, oh shoot, he's not paying attention, and I clicked on the button by accident. But hello, welcome.
Because I was waiting to hear the sound bite thing.
My bad. You know, one day we will get the introduction of this show down, and it will be amazing.
Yes. Hello and welcome.
Welcome. Oh man, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I think I've been talking about going through that cheese grater of life. Where the things that traditionally are very triggering to you are sort of like hit at you rapid fire, but at a time where you're better suited to roll with the punches. And and so many of my natural reactions to things, lately have just been kind of out the window, and a really good way too, especially like with my children.
Yes,
You
your
know,
children.
I always try. I've got my kids here for the summer, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of kind of animosity between my oldest daughter and my oldest son.
Wow. Did not know.
And well, yeah, and like they just really like it largely comes down to her being convinced, or she was, that he hated her and was really like doing things on purpose. In reality, they're living in close proximity and they're very different and they keep rubbing each other the wrong way. And Cassidy's a bit of like, you did one, I'll do one. You give me one, I'll give you one. And and Logan's a bit more selfless, and she's just gonna kind of, I'll bake you cookies, and here I gave you a little thing. And then Cassidy kind of forgets that because she's not like counting her numbers, so he forgets that she's generous. And then she also forgets too that he's very generous in his ways, because it tends to be mixed in with a lot of this. Well, we're gonna trade or like whatever, and
Right.
then it really generally it's just kind of typical sibling stuff. I told Logan when she was really little, I said, look, baby, you're going to create a situation with your brother. I know he's annoying you, but if you keep teasing him and pushing him around, he's going to feel like you're a bully to him. And that's what he's going to grow up knowing and feeling.
Thinking of
your relationship. And very much that has been the relationship. And when I've come to her now, it's been over a couple of years, maybe. And I keep kind of saying to her the same thing. And this is what I was going to say about, sort of myself and not being so reactive and sort of reacting neutrally. Before I wrap this up with my kids, like, I don't like a lot of it. I don't feel like myself to some degree, like how I feel about things. Like it's like some of them, it's like the loosest bit of quiet bitterness, but whatever, what you gonna do? Like, and I'm trying to lose that little bit, of just sort of accepting situations that were difficult for me yesterday, and and trying to put myself in them, because they just kind of keep coming up naturalistically. The universe keeps, I'm like everything's gonna cool down now, and then like I'm like, whoa, what the hell? Like things just keep happening, and
it happens again. Yeah.
and my usual reaction would probably be to kind of run away, like just because like when things go wrong, and I don't feel like people necessarily like judge me fairly, like I did the right thing, like it's
Right.
makes me go, oh well, I don't want to put anybody out. I don't want them thinking that like somebody's doing the wrong thing. And but I've just been like kind of communicating more, and
Right.
it's very difficult for me, but really good. And with the kids too, just across the board, like being able to hold that consistent thing where I come and I say, hey, look, I just want a better situation for you guys, and that's what I've
Right.
for.
Well, there's 4 of them. It's a lot to deal with all at once.
Yeah, well, and occasionally when they're like, going crazy at each other, it's easy to just you yell at them real quick. But I really don't like to do that, especially with like my son Cassie's very sensitive.
Yes.
And certainly Logan doesn't love it either, and I think she feels a little kind of bitter about like dealing with me when I was a little bit more yelly and whatever else. And still to this day, when I like talk to them, just like I'm talking to you now, they go, "Stop yelling at me." Like if I'll like come to them totally like just trying to just about it the right way, and they'll be like, "Don't yell at me," and I'm like, I, I,
You know, I should have known when I put up the old background that this was going to be more like a therapy episode. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm totally teasing you, my friend.
I think that this is really good.
It's great,
especially when you hear the resolution. Because
let's go.
That consistency, with me is what keeps them really honest when I try to do my approach, which is trust and hey, compromise, help me out here. So
I've seen you.
Yeah, and I finally, after like 2 years of Logan being like, no, he hates me, and like that's it. And I'm like, I really think that if you don't accept that, like he loves you and he's willing to try to make things better, that nothing's going to change.
Right.
And nothing's changed. And every time, like we go back to the conversation, I go, well, can you do the thing that I asked you?
Something's got to change for the love to come out,
Yeah, I said, I talk like, and she's like, why don't you talk to him? You're always talking to me. I'm like, you think I'm always talking to you.
Right.
But I talk to both of you guys.
Certainly,
I try to talk to you guys privately, so you're not, feeling like people are watching you, and so you don't see. But I talk to him and I say this, and when I say, hey, you want a truce? He says, yeah. He says like, but Logan's got to stop like bothering me and like pissing me off and stuff. And Logan does her things to bother him. Largely, I think he's really got the goat of the whole family, as I was explaining to him. Like he really can like get under everybody's skin pretty good. But Logan has her ways too, and they've developed this like rivalry kind of thing. And then I go back to her and I go, like, so, but she's like, he hates me, and I'm like, you got to accept that that's not true, and it's going to be better. And I finally, out here, I've been able to be really consistent with them, since summer.
Right.
And I just kind of keep going back to having the same conversation. And finally, like the third time was the charm, kind of when it was brought to both of them, and they were like, all right. And we kind of sat down, and Logan, and they immediately kind of had a whole bunch of little fights that day, but they've been, holding up a truce and trying not to piss each other off. And
right.
I'm super proud. And I mean, it was really a long time coming, because anybody who's a parent, or if you aren't a parent, and this goes for society, goes for anything, the negative energy, it gets spread around, or it gets transmuted, it gets alchemized, and when, as a parent, when your kids are going rah, 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 and they come to you, they're essentially going like, we've got problem, and you have an opportunity to kind of transmute that, or you can blow up at them, even if you're not blowing up at them about the thing, just like you're yelling, or like what you do is
you're responding to the energy with the same energy.
Yeah, and then you just give more to them, and you'll see your kids go around later, and you'll be like, there goes Grayson. I just yelled at him like maybe 5 minutes ago. He was sitting in the corner. Now he got up, walked across the room, and he pushed Parker to the ground. Like there is a total correlation.
You just said it, it's being able to transmute the energy and recognize the energy that's happening.
Yeah,
and transmute it. I want to
stop you for a second.
Sure. There's a bunch of new people here that are saying hello, so I just want to first I want to say hello to Mackenzie. Hello, lovelies. We've got Kimberly saying hello. What's up, Kimberly? Hey guys.
Hello, everybody.
Saying hello.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of new people here. It's we got Coro. Kara. Hello, Kara.
We got our great friend coming on in just a few minutes, and we're going to talk all sorts of stuff. Yeah. But we're going to. This is only the second time we've had Adam.
This is the second time, I believe. Yes, we actually the first time we tried to have him on I've been going through the episodes. This is part of what I wanted to talk about. I've been going through the episodes, and man, so much fun. But our first episode, we tried to have a whole bunch of people on, and we had him in the green room, and he just kind of.
That's right.
We had him back there too long. Yeah, he fell asleep, and yeah. So we owed him a visit. He came right back. He was actually our first guest for our first episode, so that was actually kind of cool.
So before we get to Chris, what has your week been like? How's things going by you? What do you think?
Things are going great. Well, that's what I wanted to talk about. I feel like, this show has been we've been doing the episode after episode. We're on episode 18 now, and it just kind of builds up, which is so amazing. And I was just going through some of the episodes, and I'm feeling very grateful for what we're building up. I want to share this for a second here. I'm just going through. Where is it here? Here we go.
You've got a clip to share?
Take a quick look here. Hey!
Hey!
Episode 1. We made it.
We have made it indeed. I need some lights in here. There we go.
So, hello.
Hello.
Hi,
we're doing it. I'm doing good. And we're doing the thing.
Yeah, man.
We have hooked up with Rock against MS, and we're so excited, and life is good. Whoa.
Hey.
What are we, a professional show now, or what the hell, man?
We freaking made it back.
I love it.
It's awesome. Hold on. We're not professional. I got to put the other background up. There we go. Boom. And I got to put the overlay up. Now we are professional.
There we go. Now we're there. We're getting.
I love this. I see myself.
Put all the elements together.
How's it going? And we did this like all right. So am I going to be able to see comments?
Yes, we are. We are able to see.
Oh, I see comments here, and these are comments from YouTube and from.
So we were just learning how to
do
our thing, Exactly.
Hello, Rams Network on Twitch. So it's really cool.
Hey.
Hello, welcome to the now moment.
Yes, my favorite.
We're in the now. What's happening now is happening now. What happened to then? We passed it just then. Spaceballs fans. That's kind of pretty close approximation. How's it going? Welcome to another episode of the Live Stream of Consciousness.
Welcome.
I am your hosts, Jesse Blaze Snyder and Michael Zinn. I am both people. Both people are I. He is I, and I and he.
Wow,
as you've learned.
All right, enough of that stuff. It goes on for a little bit longer, but that was my favorite. My favorite one.
That's a good one. I'm excited to see what you pull forth from our leader Nancy has been very under the weather.
Yes,
dealing with a lot of. She had a few other things happen beyond that, like with her car and things like that. So, so the Rams Network has been sort of down. As we were just starting to get up and running a little bit, but everybody who
that's right, we're still doing our thing.
Send a prayer to Nancy, please do.
Yes,
and yeah, so we just want a little shout out to her right there, and and also there was something I wanted to mention that was important at the open of the show.
Tim,
back to me. Yeah, I don't know. Well, without further ado, do we want to introduce Chris?
Yeah, let's introduce Chris. We've caught up and rambled on efficiently enough.
Yeah.
But Chris was one of he was our very first guest.
Pretty good for us.
What was that?
I said 13 minutes and 50 seconds. That's pretty good for us.
That's actually pretty good, yeah. So he was one of our first guests. He's actually been doing some amazing things I'm going to let him tell you about on social media himself. So I'm so happy to welcome him back. Here he is, Mr. Christopher Allan. Hey.
Oh, well, hello there.
Hey. Oh, he's got his wine.
I was just about to pour a nice little glass of something. Listen to you guys chat away. So
I'm so proud, Chris. With my kids and the loop, everything is like a microcosm, and we can learn so much from our families and so much from our relationships. And so often when I see the way political discourses are handled, I'm like, haven't any of these people been in relationships? like this is like, there are diplomatic ways to go about the ending of a thing, the beginning of a thing, bringing up a subject, whatever it might be. And I think we really need to take those microcosms, the sibling rivalries and whatnot, and try to learn from them as much as we can. And I mean, it is really kind of crazy just learning from it with my kids, because I mean, even just sitting them down and being like, hey, they're willing to talk, and the other one's like, they hate me. Like, well, what do I do about this?
Chris, you have a bunch of screaming fans right now. It's great to have you on our show. Look at this. All these people who have come here to see Chris. We love it. Awesome. Thank you. And welcome to the live stream.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Really cool. So I think we've asked you our usual introduction question, which is what is your definition of consciousness before? So we won't have to get into that. But I want to know, what's this new thing that you're doing on social media?
Oh, well, for, since the pandemic hit, we've embraced technology more than ever, and in these platforms and interfaces that we can all connect with more than ever to be able to, do things such as live stream. And so I kind of hopped on the bandwagon during COVID, like everybody else. But every Wednesday night, I host on Facebook Live, Wine and Spirits Wednesdays, and it's the one thing I've been able to pull off pretty much consistently. The idea of doing a podcast was something that was suggested, and I have it in kind of in my back pocket. I'm just always afraid of like losing the consistency, to be able to do something each and every week, because I'm so busy, is sometimes very hard for me, but I can always set aside about 45 minutes like I'm doing tonight to be able to do my own thing and connect with people and actually read people online and give them a little bit of a taste of exactly what I do for people every single day of my life professionally.
That's great. Why do you think we're so excited? Consistent, like for months now, and we're like, yay, we did it! We did the thing over and over again.
Well, it becomes part of the flow, because it's like when we're back here every week. It's like I know, I'm still in control. I'm still living that life that I want to manifest. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't, I totally get what you're saying, Chris. It's like, you're like, oh no, I got to do it again. But then you're doing it and it's like, this is awesome. I'm having a great time with this show, and I'm having a great time watching you do live readings like on social media with people and bringing them on. That's just so amazing.
Well, that's the thing, because I sit back and I watch, nowadays there are so many people, and on one end of the spectrum, I have to say, hey, we're promoting people waking up and shifting, all these buzzwords, about being able to tap into, I think, what psychics and mediums have been tapping into all along. But now we're really promoting like, hey, this is a thing. Mm-hmm. So I think, as a result of all that, so many people are recognizing this psychic within themselves, which is a beautiful thing on one hand. Amazing. On the other hand, I watch on social media all these other people kind of give readings, and I go, they're not really reading them. They're just kind of, it's the same thing as like opening up a Sun magazine and reading your horoscope and recognizing everything is just so generally, it just applies to everybody, and it's something. So I felt like I need, even though it's not what I want to, I feel like I really wanted to do, I felt like obligated to kind of show people this is the information you should want a medium to tell you versus what you might see other places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm going to add to that. And I got my first question for you about what you're doing. But it's interesting to me because, to a certain degree, I try to set this up as naturalistically as I could, because I know that from that place is where my intuition comes and where my wisdom comes and where I'm sitting and I'm comfortable, and I'll be like, I have something to say about that, and it's probably worthwhile because it's just coming to me from a place of me feeling good and comfy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, I think, when they get on some of these things, and I think I might be that person as well under the right circumstances, and a whole bunch of people are watching you, they have to put on a certain like veneer to block the nerves of what they're doing. And that veneer is really blocking to your intuitive sense and, actually getting stuff out of people. So, and then as I hear what you say, what you're doing, your wine and spirits, like, so are you trying to have a nice casual, I have a cup of wine, I sit down, I make it nice and chill, assuming kind of the same knowledge that like, well, if I'm going to do this, I gotta really be chill. So like, I can't be sitting there going like, I gotta be psychic. I gotta really open myself up and feel like I'm comfortable and not like, I'm on the spot.
Exactly. I just try to give people, this is me, when I'm not reading, I'm with my girlfriend and my dog, just having a glass of wine, chilling out, and, really not stressing out about much or trying not to. And I was like, we should just try this one night. And before you know it, it snowballed into something where people actually look forward to, winding down, no pun intended, or is it, on Wednesdays to just connect with me and having a conversation like we're having tonight about things you might not necessarily or normally be able to have with other people on your mobile device. This is what you're doing is special. What I'm trying to do is a service of something unique and special. And
you've got the wine recommendations have been great too.
And
so you are providing a service.
My clients give me wine now when they.
That's awesome. Oh, see, well, that's great. That's right. So we've got actually one of our regular listeners, Taylor. She's got a good question. That's a good thing. She wanted to ask, what's a way to spot an actual medium from someone who's just doing a grift? I mean, I know my answer, but let's hear what
We probably have
your
like
answer might be.
different answers on
Yeah,
this.
I mean, I'm not here. I never, I always practice like stay in your own lane. And, I think there are plenty of amazingly good intuitive psychics out there and wonderful mediums that I look at and I go, hey, I'm glad these people are doing what they're doing, not just me. But there's more people that kind of make me go, ugh. I feel like when I was a kid and this was exposed, and this world was, being shown to me when I was younger, I felt like those are the mediums I trust more than I trust the ones that I see now on TV or on social media.
Well, because it's mixed with that ego, like people having a like that, and that, like I said, it really does. I think a 9 person out of 10, I think, gets affected by that on some level, and it affects your calmness. I wouldn't be super hot to do like a reading live on the air. I mean, I'd probably be fine at this point. Again, I created the situation to be like a nice situation for me.
Yeah.
And I don't have like random people necessarily yelling at me every 2 seconds, because I'm doing psychic readings and you said that and my mother died and whatever. So, but it's certainly a different situation, I think, and cool that you can get up there in the right circumstances. And I'm sure you're helping so many people. And I just want to say, like, for everybody out there, like, I think this is always just a benefit. There are people who wouldn't be involved. They wouldn't do it. But under these circumstances, well, they'll investigate and they're a little interested. And those people, you get the best reactions out of them because they're so surprised. And then the people who are interested and are just looking for somebody good and who would pay a psychic regularly, to talk to them, or pay somebody to do the thing that they need to do regularly to do it, they're looking for somebody good. So you getting the opportunity, one, to enhance your skills. Like when I see anybody doing any type of thing like that, and there's even non-psychic ways to do that kind of stuff online, where you could just be helping people with legal advice or medical advice, whatever it is. And there's a lot of great, smart people who do it. I just go, this is so great. It's spreading information, and the people who have money and need help, they're coming to you, if they can, and that's like it's win-win-win all the way around. So I doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer that girl's question in a second, but just what you said, Jesse, it's really recognizing this past year and how difficult it was for so many people. I felt like the perfect time for me to maybe donate my services for an hour, to say, hey, things might be different in your life right now, so you might not be able to maybe afford a private consultation, but I can at least maybe give you 3 things for you to go to bed better tonight than if you hadn't watched me, and and realize you don't have to spend a ton of money to recognize that love and life are eternal.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally great. And actually,
that should be something you never pay money for,
right? But you know what? You do what you do. So watching it made it less scary to Christina. She bought a ticket to a virtual reading, because again, I think this platform, that's really what I got out of what you guys were talking about, was this platform and being able to get these messages across, no matter what that message is. I mean, you were talking about legal advice and all of this, but ours is a spiritual show, and we like to try to empower people and let them know they can be just like us, you know what I mean? And or they can be them.
Or it sounds silly, but I mean, really, what we talk about on this show is what they teach in the Masons. That is the type of information we speak about. You join the Masons Lodge, and they slowly give you information over time. The things that we talk about, universal law, and stuff based in Kabbalah, things like that. That is essentially so much of what so many ancient secret societies of learned individuals are learning. And this information is available online, so you can really dive in so many capacities. And also there's lots of wonderful books you can read once you have an understanding of what it is you're looking for.
Right.
The information is out there for us to grab at. So can you answer Taylor's question, Chris?
Yeah, sure. So I think if I were to go to get a reading from somebody, the way that I would kind of see if I felt they were legit or not is one, like when I do readings, I have like 5 names that I know since I was like 12 years old. I told myself if I was ever going to give readings, I don't want to say, which would be John, Mary, Joseph, and like Rose, you know. And I'm like, give me something different. Give me like a you know, a Sharon or a Trevor, you know.
Right.
So I think when
Harder to validate.
it gives like a very unique name like that. That's you know, not like your the cliche like Irish names. I feel like, you know, that would add to the validity of a medium.
Does anyone know a John?
Exactly, you know, or just that idea of kind of, you know, recognizing like everybody knows a John, guys, you know. But it's also the idea of just making sure, like, you know, all the things that mediums do talk about, which I believe, the idea of signs, you know, butterflies and cardinals and feathers and pennies and dimes, that's all real. I do believe in those being signs, and how our loved ones who have passed away realize when a medium's not present, maybe we can manipulate the paths of these things to get our loved ones' attention. I believe in the synchronicities of life like that, but I feel like to kind of bring them up in a reading, I feel like it's 2021. Like mediums have to work, you know, all that's real, but don't give me the pennies, butterflies, grandma's cardinal to make my reading. I want to know, you know, their birthday, not just the month, but the day. I want to know how they passed. You know, I want to be able to acknowledge information. And more often than not, sometimes I'm not always the best medium to kind of, I feel like my style sometimes could be different from what other people are expecting, because sometimes clients ask me at the end, they go, well, you validated my dad's birthday, but does he have anything to say? And I'm like, well, yeah,
he was here.
Validation.
Yeah, he was here. That's what he has to say, right?
I'm not going to take an hour just to say he wants to say that he's at peace and all these things that you want to hear, because, you know, it comforts you. A really good medium is able to put those into the reading, but not really make it
a lot of times
coming from the deceased person, because in the 13 years I've ever did readings, I've never had a deceased person come to me telling me to tell their loved one in front of me, tell them that I love them and that I'm good, or I'm okay. It's always, sometimes they'll do this to me, like I'm at peace, but that's the only thing. They never really tell me what I think people want to hear. So I think it's about the information. So if I can get their loved one's name and how they pass and their birthday and something that just happened this morning while you were getting ready, then it's to say, hey, I am okay. So much that I knew what you were doing this morning, and I'm about celebrating the birthdays with you still, and I'm still connected to the moments in life. And this is how you last remember me, passing away on this day by this, but I'm still here. And so I feel like that's the message. It's not they're not going to come out and say, hey, they just want to let you know that they love you and they're happy and they're proud of you. Who would I be as a medium to say, listen, I got your dad here and he's telling me he's not proud of you?
Right. Well, you know, I've been to your shows. Obviously, we've been working together for a long time, and you know, you do always kind of explain that, you know, people are, that's what it's like over there, everything's okay. And really, you know, you get the most amazing validations. I mean, that's why anytime I ever talk about you, it's like, well, Chris is the real deal. If you've ever been skeptical, you know, go check out Christopher Allan, because the validations are so specific, you know. And Mackenzie was saying you had a great show the other night, so I'm going to try to pull a story out of you, a validation story, unless you've got one all ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember what I did 5 hours ago, let alone what I did the night before. So I don't remember
the specific story.
Somebody had actually, Jesse, you might like find this interesting. Actually, last night on last night's stream, somebody, you know, I watch other mediums and they ask me like, am I going to find the husband of my dreams, or am I going to get a better job, or am I ever going to get a new house? All these kind of open-ended general questions. And I'm like, how can anybody know, or just yes, no? Like, what do you tell somebody? And are you going to like mess them up? No, you're not going to get a good house. No, like you're not going to meet just quit trying, you know, to meet Prince Charming. So somebody asked me last night.
I'll rebut. I apologize. I thought that was the setup. I want the punchline.
Oh, so last night somebody asked me, am I going to, how are things going to be handled with my new house? And I was like, you know, either it's going to go really bad or good. Like, what? And so all I saw one of her loved ones in my head say, talk about the ranch house. And she said, yes, the house that will be mine is going to be a ranch house. And then her father said, say about it's the second house at the end of the block. And she said, yes, it's the second house from the corner. And then I had mentioned that I saw it kind of being constructed in like a navy blue. And she said it's a new house at the second end from the corner. It's going to be a ranch style house. They just started building it. And they decided this week it's going to be, the exterior is going to be blue. So I thought that was the validation. And I felt like, well, if I can acknowledge that, then yes, everything is going to continue moving fine. And then what was the beautiful thing is the next thing I got was somebody who hurt themselves and who was a younger male. And she said, that was my son. He died just a year or two ago. So, through this acknowledgement of the house, what I was seeing was her loved ones, including her deceased son, showing, hey, whether it's going to go good or not, I'm aware of exactly what you and dad are going for, where the house is, what it's going to look like, the color it's going to be. And this is my way of saying I'm still connected to you.
So the son, you were bringing the son through.
Yes, I was bringing the son through.
Wow.
But actually, just this afternoon in my reading, I had a woman who lost her son, sadly, also. And I had said, I'm seeing twins. And she said, I just had grandchildren that were twins. And I said, I'm going to throw myself under the bus. I just got that right. But I feel like, would you know if your daughter was supposed to actually have triplets and one kind of miscarried or was lost, and two were born? And she said, I have twins. They were supposed to be triplets. And I was like, couldn't believe it. Because
that's so specific.
I don't have that in my life. I don't know how that thought was downloaded in my brain.
Right. Wow.
Mostly what I get is something that I can relate with in my own life reference. So for me not to have that, I don't know how I knew that. So that was really cool.
That's what I mean. Like, those validations are so specific, and I see them happen with you all the time. It's so cool.
Yeah. Do you know? Can you see the people that are tuning into this? Because I'm picking up on the name Devin.
You're picking up on the name Debbie.
Devin. It was my best friend Anthony's little brother growing up from school, and
all right.
That connection.
Okay, so if we have anybody who feels that some sort of a connection to a Devin,
anyone
have Chris picking up on something, which always gives me tingles.
I also feel like somebody's got a birthday right next to Valentine's Day, and to also make sure that I share that there's the father that's passed on that wants to associate with this information. So the father-in-law. So I wonder if in the comments or how people interact with the show, they would be able to.
Do you not see the comments? I think you should actually see them. Let me just.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
No, I can.
So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to keep a look, but so Kimberly says her son is Devin, or
okay. So Kimberly, can you validate whose birthday is in February?
Ooh, I love this.
Yeah.
And I'll make this quick. I'm just getting these 3 or 4 things, and then we can.
Yeah, we also have a Camila chiming in. Camila is saying her daughter's boyfriend is a Devin.
I think I'm with Kim because it feels right to me.
Okay, Kim feels right.
Well, as she answers, I'll say, I saw a quote. I wish I could find it. I was trying to find it, but it was basically a let go and let God kind of thing. And when people think about the future, concepts, our whole reality is based on concepts. And so often when I go off on my shamanic retreats, I enter into a conversation with Mother Spirit, whether it's ayahuasca or others, and have conversations about the higher concepts that we're dealing with here and things like the future. And very early on in my conversations with them, they convinced me, as you might be convinced by a doctor not to eat a certain thing, not to ask about the future. Because there are many futures. We live in a reality that is intermingled with many realities, and simply knowing or thinking we can know and all this other thing, it creates ripples and all of that stuff. And if we really want to come to our highest place in the world, our highest
go with the flow.
It's about trusting and coming to a place of trust.
Yeah.
And so often,
Kimberly had an answer to that.
I will try. I try to impart that as well, because people will ask me all the time, like, "Tell me the future," kind of thing.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to tell you the future.
Right, exactly.
There's a lot of possibilities. All right, here, let's get back to this. Her birthday is February 17th, and her brother passed February.
Okay. Wow. So she's saying okay, and I think in the comment below, he's
her
brother
son
passed February 16th. So,
yes.
Okay. Well, there's a disconnected father story also. So I don't know if mom and dad are separated from each other or we're disconnected from our father as well. But I'm seeing that around you, Kim. So for me to kind of acknowledge, I guess, what I'm getting, I would put it together. I would go, hey, this man is acknowledging your brother, and collectively they're acknowledging that they're aware of your son in ways that they might have been able to connect with in life. So Devin's a pretty specific name. And for you to acknowledge not just February, but if you heard me, I said Valentine's week. So the 16th, 2 days right after Valentine's Day, that would do it for me.
Yeah.
So this is just my way to make sure I bring that up. I wonder if we can also say somebody passed from their own hands. So I feel like there's self-negligence connected to you, Kim, if you can validate below. But just know that your brother, and what I would interpret as being like the father is connected to us, is watching you and still, utilizing ways to let you know that they are still fine and they're still with you.
Awesome.
Cool.
Ooh, well,
Without a doubt, one of the biggest things that people want from mediums and psychics, I think. Hi, cutie. And nice to meet you. What's her name?
that's Parker Pride.
Parker Pride.
My famous
Oh.
baby who was born on the 405 freeway
I love it.
Oh, that's the best story.
while I sped down the freeway.
Parker's the best. Chris, when I met Parker in person, there was like such an amazing energy. She just, she just looks at you and you can just connect. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God. Such a cutie.
Yeah.
That wow. That's awesome.
So
but everybody wants, to know the future. And I go, that's why I focus on mediumship, because I feel like when it comes to our dearly departed, there's the information that you can say, we know this already to be true.
Yes. We have
just
Kimberly.
like Jesse said, the future's still uncharted.
It's exactly. There's so many possibilities.
This is the big thing, like for me, at the end of the day, you could say so much of like the real catalyst to my spiritual journey was I realized that I was sabotaging myself in the ways that I really cared so much that I was trying to control every aspect of everything for the things that I cared about.
Yeah.
There were other things that I played way less a hand in, and I was very successful. Like I'm a very successful voiceover actor. That was never a huge get for me. I was like, oh, cool, an opportunity or whatever. And I've become a huge success as a voiceover actor, but it was all because energetically, I wasn't resisting the flow of the universe. And with everything else, I realized that I was. It's so interesting. There's a lot of different types of psychics and or mediums, for various things. And ultimately, I find that we're all trying to connect them, and we talked about this last episode, with the energetic path they're on. Where is the momentum in their life? Like it's swinging this way, so that they can start to get a handle for what's going on, because we're all on a different cycle based on the stamp that got placed on our forehead when we were born, based on the stars in their alignment, and the pressure in the water in our body, however you want to look at it.
I do believe that
created these unique beings who are now fumbling all around the place, having very different experiences. And to understand where you are in things so that you can cooperate with it, it's the same thing of like trying to have faith with the future and not be so concerned about the details of the future. Because when we talk about the laws of attraction, a lot of people don't realize the more precise you make what you want, you may eventually get that thing one day. But it's going to take longer if it's this precise thing. Yeah. If you're like, I want financial stability, I don't care how. There you go. Like the universe can work out the rest for you in a way that'll make you very happy. And to trust that and to be able to lean into that, that's the thing. The last little bit that I wanted to say, which I just, my sister, I think will get into some of these things when we talk next time. So I'll make it a brief version of it. But basically, when she got into her reading her own horoscope, she saw that she was destined for some things that she didn't necessarily care for. But she very quickly has realized, well, but this is the momentum. This is the energetic path that I'm on. Do I want to resist this? And I think so many people are kind of standing in resistance, whether they know it, to the natural path that they're on, because it's scary for them in different ways, and getting over the ways in which it's scary, whether it's like communication in some fashions, like it is for me sometimes. I'm a perfectionist when things are imperfect. I'd rather like run away. I'll make it up to you in the future. And getting through that is a huge thing for me, and everybody has their own barriers to get through. But yeah, I just, everything that you were saying was just making me think of all this, and I love to, for our show, I'd love to be able to take apart so much of the mysticism of what's going on. When you're tapping into these things, and what you're getting from, you get energy. So much of the time you're getting impressions and basic ideas of things. Somebody holding a peace sign. It's not always just that thing that you want embroidered on a blanket.
Exactly.
Speaking of the energy, let's kind of get back to it if you're still feeling it there, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I saw in the comment while Jess was saying that Kimberly had said that her uncle committed suicide. So I guess that was the older father figure, and the idea of the brother who passed in February, and for them to bring up Devin. So just know that the brother and the father uncle see your son, and this is their way to let you know that they're fine and they're together. So
well, she said what did she say? He would play with him, and then she said my parents are still together. They fight all the time, because you were talking about some disconnect there.
Oh. Hey, Jesse, is the with your daughter, even though her name is Parker, was her name supposed to be Patricia?
No.
But her mother's name is Patricia.
Your mother's name is Patricia.
That's crazy. That just freaked me out just now.
What are you getting there, buddy?
I'm just seeing. I was trying to think if that was ever actually a consideration, because her mother's name is Patricia.
No, I'm just seeing my Aunt Patty, who is an aunt that I adore, and I just saw her a few weeks ago, and I was seeing that around your daughter. So I was like, I wonder if her name was supposed to be Patty rather than Parker.
Right.
That's your wife.
Patty, it's her life. It's her mother. Patty.
Daddy.
Yeah.
That's really freaking cool.
Totally,
but
dude.
Parker is noting that Parker starts with a park. So
she's PA.
Got the
P. Parker. Parker.
Yeah, actually, if you want to get creepy, so I lost one of my best friends, who was my drummer when I was just before 21, Chris Deline. And he, eventually, when I finally started to open up spiritually through meditation and other things, in a really deep meditation, like hours of meditating, he came to me and told me that he was my muse. And then years later, I got it like through a few different angles that this was Chris. And I sent Patty a picture of our friend Chris, who, it had been so long since he passed away, like a decade now or something, or longer than that, 15 years. And I just showed it to her across from the table. And as soon as she looked at the picture, she just glanced at it and she like went, who is this? And I'm like, that's Chris. And she's like, oh my God. And so that's been really an interesting one for me.
So she recognized him.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of interesting sort of things with Miss Parker Pride.
Wow,
she's a special one. One day she'll be teaching me spiritual lessons.
Exactly, the kids are the mediums, the true mediums. You gotta
totally.
You gotta listen to them. They know what they're doing.
She says when she grows up, she's going to be a pet doctor.
That's awesome, sweetie. I think that's a great goal for you to set. I hope you do become a veterinarian.
Oh, okay. She's embarrassed now that she talks, so she's making flashes.
Cool. Oh, that's really cool. Wow, that's weird. Hey, just the last thing I just want to share, even though it has nothing to do with probably your former wife or anything. I keep on seeing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer also, and I don't really know what that means. I don't know if there is somebody who is one of 8 kids in the family, or if there is somebody who is somehow connected to like Rudolph. It's the most random thing I can share with you. So,
well, you're saying 8 kids, and I think Jesse is one of 4, and Jesse has 4.
You have 4 kids, dude?
That's 8. Yes, he has 4 kids.
I would never know.
Yes, my daughter was asking me a question. Yes, I have 4 kids, and I am one of 4.
Who's your favorite?
Um, they're all my favorite.
Good
Pride.
answer, Daddy. Good answer.
That's
So
good.
Taylor,
Hear that they're not your favorites. They're all my favorites.
Taylor, I'm not making fun of you, but Taylor just realized that all of your kids have comic book names.
Yeah, I saw that in the comment section.
that
So-
was the plan. That's
So I
how
gave her the other Snyder trivia.
Man.
What's the other
Iron
Snyder
Man and
trivia?
Kitty Pryde. Jewish representation in the X-Men.
Dad, don't call me Kitty Pie.
Why not? You're my pride.
Don't call me Kitty Pie.
I'm still out of the loop, but what's Iron Man's real like name? That the human man, the man that represents Iron Man is in the movies.
Kitty.
Tony Stark.
Tony
Oh
Stark.
yeah, of course, I knew that.
So we had like
you knew that.
Stark and Banner and like all these things. We were like, nah. And then we'd eventually get some. And like, I didn't really, my first one's Logan Lane. And I didn't initially like Logan because I had a friend in school whose name was Logan.
Daddy.
And he was really lame. And like really lame. And like all my memory was like lameness.
Yeah.
And then I thought Wolverine's like a short hairy guy. I was like, I don't know. It's a short hairy dude. And I guess thank God for you, Jackman. You know, so the Logan's a good company. What?
Made Logan cool again.
So here's the other bit of Snyder trivia. All of the Jesse and his siblings are named after Wild West outlaws. Is that correct?
Yep. I'm
Yeah.
Jesse. My brother's Shane, and my other brother's Cody, and my sister's Cheyenne. Damn Indian.
Totally interesting.
Oh.
So, Chris, we're also mesmerized by the cuteness that is Parker Pride.
Yeah, can you get out of here? You're too
but let's get back to some spirituality and some inspiration. One of the things our show has been doing is really been kind of just inspiring people, and that was really, I think, kind of the intention, just to, like I said, empower people with some basic information of, like, you know, the simple memes, you know, like you're in the driver's seat, you know, that kind of stuff. So tell us, I guess, how that applies to you and where you're at now. I mean, I see you on social media killing it. You know, I see all these people who came to our show who are your fans, who are just saying like how on you are and how your show is amazing. So
can we circle back?
How'd you get there?
Name of a demystification question.
What's
That's
that?
related just to what he's doing. Just before we get away from his show.
Yeah. If you have a specific question, sure.
Just because I wonder again, like in the name of just helping people understand mechanisms. What's your prep for a show like that? Like, you know, if you're doing the wine and you're sitting there for to connect with the spirits, like legit, if you don't mind, showing cards and being like, well, I got to get myself into whatever sort of state of mind and I meditate or whatever it is. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So I do it. I'm pretty much immediately following my private clientele. So I kind of go right into it so I don't lose that, that wave that I'm riding with people in my office. But every morning I start listening to actually hard rock music. I don't know, the rhythm, the double bass pedal, it does something to me. People can listen to Yanni to meditate and to like clear their mind. I have to listen to like, I don't know, music that actually makes me kind of want to bop my head and
give us a song. Come on, I need some new meditation music.
Yeah. Anthrax, anything like I
love really? Wow.
Your meditation playlist.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really true. And I'm a big fan of like pop rock. I love pop rock and that's what I like. I can appreciate it, even though it might, be fun. Some people. It is fun, but like to actually get in the zone.
Rock. I was wearing my fun t-shirt yesterday. I love that.
Oh yeah, they're good too. So my girlfriend loves them. Any music, any type of music really gets me in the zone. I think I have kind of like this. I meditate to some degree, but I think I have kind of like this. I can't sit still for too long, or I just had there's something about me that feels like I might not really. It'll be very rare for me to go into really deep meditations on a regular basis. So I do whatever I am able to do that just kind of helps me kind of focus within and just kind of gets me excited and kind of feeling like I am the best version of myself to be able to talk to people that need help. So pretty much meditation and music is my way of meditating. So it's not just kind of sitting alone in space. I need the the sounds to take me somewhere.
Cool. Yeah.
and
Well,
that's
you're
really
totally
what
setting
I do.
intention. It sounds like you're like totally setting that intention. You're like, all right, I know what I'm about to do, and you're giving yourself that energy.
Yeah, and I also have to clean my office just by kind of going in certain motions, kind of doing my floors over and over again. Kind of this mindless thing actually helps me tap into my higher self also. So you'll see my office like super clean when I give readings because I'm mopping it constantly.
Nice.
just to
Oh, we
kind
got
of-
a question. We got Jacqueline asking, is astral projection a relay where our loved ones are? It's a great question. I accidentally astral traveled one time and I've been practicing ever since. I can go anywhere. Good for
Dude,
you.
without
That's
a
awesome.
doubt, the fact that you bring this up like blows my mind because I was literally having this conversation with my cousins over the weekend. That it's been a couple months since my mom passed away,
Mhm.
and
Oh, I'm sorry.
thank you. Probably a year ago this week, I actually astral projected, and I found myself upside down in my house on the ceiling, but I was upside down like a bat, and I was watching myself sleep, and I was both able to see like my eyelids closed in my physical form, and then I was able to experience this other kind of split screen reality of me watching myself below myself, and I went up to where my mom was sleeping, and I just kind of saw all this like grayness around my mom, and I was like, well, that's weird. And then the next thing I knew is I was like, well, people can fly around. I heard stories where people astral project and they meet people who are also sleeping.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? If this is real, I want to find my dad, who's also passed away. And immediately, snap of a finger, I was like brought to him, and I saw my dad, and I was like, what do I do now? I was like, do I hug you?
Wow.
Am I able to have a conversation with you? And he just looked at me like what do you need to know, son? And
What?
I
You're
was
here?
like,
What?
I was like, I didn't know I could do this. And I was like, I was at a loss of words. And
That
I
is
felt like if I did
amazing.
too much, I would get emotional and wake myself up, or I would drop back into myself. So I just very gently just said, I miss you so much.
Oh,
And I don't know what's going on with mom, but she doesn't look good. And he goes, I know it's going to be okay. And
Chris, we
mom
just
fell and had this beginning of a decline of her health. And I was like, weird. But it was as if like somehow my soul found my dad just at the moment that I needed to hear him assure me everything's going to be okay. So I do believe that we can astral project
So good.
ourselves into the spirit realm. And I guess there are other levels. And I don't know.
Sure.
There's no textbook.
Right.
We're not God. We can only speculate through experience and what we
Right.
feel.
That's a
But
great
I do
answer.
feel like there
That's
are
a
other
great answer.
realms we can go to beyond just the spirit world that could be seen as heaven.
Let me
Different
back
dimensions.
that
Who
up.
knows?
Yeah, I don't think that I've ever told this story before, and it's like just a short one. But literally, my first experience of like anything sort of weird or out of the ordinary was when I was really little. I
Popped out
guess
of your body?
like middle school. Yeah. And I legit, because I was such an atheist and I didn't believe in any of these things, I just like never thought about it again. And I was reading a book, and somebody was explaining this out of body experience they had, and it was kind of similar enough to the one that I had, where I was just watching TV, and I was just really really chillaxed, zoned in on like something, and I was just like chilling there at the thing, and all of a sudden I realized I was on top of the ceiling. And I was just like legit, like
Wow.
in the same, I think largely the same position that I was in on top of the ceiling, but I was on top of the ceiling looking down
Wow.
at the television. And I was like, well, this is strange. And I fell back.
They
in
always
my
say that when
body.
they're astral traveling. When
I
they're
think like
astral
my parents, like I saw my parents come through the room or something like that. And I fell back in my body. And like, and
Wow.
I only remembered it in my 30s when I was, when reading
That's
something.
crazy.
And I was like, oh, wow, that happened to me.
I remember that. Yeah.
Really young. That's so crazy that I've never. It's so crazy. I didn't think more about that. What's the deal with that happened? But I didn't. I was like, nothing. Never thought about it again. Moving on.
So Jacqueline says it's exactly if you get scared and wake up. So and this is kind of what I've always said is, I mean, astral traveling is very similar to dreaming, right? I mean, it's your mind is in a different state. You know what I mean? So, I don't know the scientific difference of astral traveling and dreaming, but they're certainly similar in the descriptions I've heard of what astral traveling is. I think astral traveling is more specific location wise. You can recognize locations. For me, when I dream, a lot of times it's like I'm in my house, but it's not. It's like the locations are screwy. It's like reality, but like something's not right.
Isn't that always interesting?
Yeah.
How like I've always found that so neat when I hear that consistently from other people,
Mhm.
where I had a dream and everything was typical except we were in a place that I don't know where the hell the place was. Like
Right.
you were really comfy there, but
It feels like a place, but it doesn't like look like a place, right?
Yeah.
It's
But it's like the past or it's like now, but you're not
right.
anywhere that you remember. Like it's
Oh,
very
that's an interesting.
how people,
That's an
like,
interesting. Yeah, an interesting variable is time.
I don't hear people talk about like, oh, I had a dream about the future and we were in a new place. I hear people talk about something that's going on right now. Like I was on a date with my current girlfriend at her parents' house, but it wasn't her parents' house. I've been to her parents' house. It doesn't look anything like that. Like whatever it might be. And you're like, what? Why was it so
Totally.
weird?
Yeah, it's a very strange thing. So I see that we are coming up on an hour, but I do want to I'm going to circle back, Chris. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit because I want to see how you handle this. Because we already said you don't want to ask the future, right? You don't want to ask the future direct. But Kimberly, who you were talking before, she was saying this before. She's really curious. Do you see her getting pregnant soon? She's trying to get pregnant.
That's a different Kimberly than the person that.
Oh, that is? That's not the same Kimberly? Oh, okay. Because I saw Kimberly asking that earlier.
Okay.
You're better at that than me, keeping track of who it is that's asking the questions because you've been doing that. So I didn't even know that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So I won't put you on that spot unless you want.
Okay. Well, I do see her pregnant, whoever that was.
Oh, you there you go. You do see her pregnant. So and then we have somebody who was on your show last night. She says her father-in-law passed suddenly. You're like going above the comment. That's so funny. Looking for some sort of validation. I don't know if you're feeling Christine or what, but I'm not used to fielding all of these comments like that. Chris, you brought a whole new audience to the table here.
Well, that's really cool. I wonder if Kimberly doesn't have any kids yet. The one that Kimberly Ann, but I see two.
Kimberly Ann, she's saying thank you. So if you wanted, Kimberly Jacoby, I see. See now I'm seeing the last names.
Yeah, I feel like the first attempt will be a very brief miscarriage where it's not going to be as devastating as what other people experience, and then the idea of her having two successful back to back when she's when the universe
so
recognizes it's the right time to be a mom. So, but all's good. But just getting back to and I think the question part of the show is really cool to interact with the audience. But when Jesse was talking about kind of not recognizing what a profound experience leaving his body really was until he was 30, I think it just shows that, like, your daughter Parker, she could be having that as we speak right now and just doesn't realize that that's not normal. That's not stuff that like would wow us, and as a kid, I would do that all the time. I would astral travel as a child, and I always thought it was like, oh, why can't I do that anymore? And I felt like that was really my first experience to me of recognizing that we are more than just our skin and bones. And so, for me to do it last year for the first time in like a long time was really, wild. And I wish I could do it more now, but I think a lot of people do that. And so it's kind of like when people pass away, they'll rise above their bodies and they'll be astral traveling. And with death comes the cord that's really attaching us to our physical self. That's cut, and that allows us to kind of go further into kind of that realm.
That's interesting.
So while we're alive, we won't die, but like we can only go so far.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because in my experience with astral traveling and research I've done into it, they talk about if you're going to do it, you need to kind of prepare yourself to have that cord. Make sure you're aware that you're doing it and that you can always reconnect yourself. And I guess some people visualize it as a cord physically, and then other people just kind of figure out the connection, maybe electricity or whatever.
It feels like a surge, like a tether cord that's like surging power. I actually felt electricity, so I didn't actually see it, but I felt it.
So
Everybody
cool.
has different experiences, but that was mine.
So cool.
So
Wow.
can I do follow up on the prep question? So
Yes.
is there any difference between your mindset or where you're bringing yourself when you're sitting there about to read for any number of people who might show up to the door, any number of spirits or energies that might show up versus, one client coming in the door?
I think it's just the idea of recognizing it's not so much what I have to do to kind of tap into the departed. It's me as a naturally introverted person by nature. What do I have to do to psych myself into recognizing that I'll either be in front of one person or what I'll be in front of next week in the Hamptons, 200 people.
Mhm.
It's like I have to do a little more mental preparation, not for me to tune into energy, but to just handle the energies of the living.
Right. The
And
volume,
let
the
that
pure volume,
and not allow them or the amount of people interfere with my ability just to kind of always stay calm and handle the situation and focus primarily on what's going on inside this mind.
Yeah, and do you do anything for that? When I meditate, I do some nonsense that I heard somewhere along the way. But I really believe whatever you believe and you project consistently becomes a thing. And it's my heart diamond and my cosmic egg that keep out the energetic forces that I'd rather not be influencing me or whatever.
I visualize when I have a big show that I'm visualizing like a Native American drum, kind of somebody beating it quick, kind of tapping really quick. And I'll take about 10 minutes to like visualize the tempo slowing down and having the guy in my head that's beating on this drum skin just go slower and slower. And it's kind of like my way to just kind of slow things down visually and kind of make that connection in my body. And I have to maintain that tempo.
Well,
and
that's
really
cool.
Focus and go on stage with that kind of calm tempo. And I think that's what
good
makes
one.
me kind of
I'm gonna
effective
use
medium.
that. That's a great.
Yeah, that's what. Let me. I'm curious because I just saw recently a video that just struck me, and it was a guy, and they weren't even showing the guy. He was in the background and hitting the drum. Is there like a chant that goes with that? Like, oh, yeah.
I mean, that could be. It's really funny. I had a actual. I wouldn't. It's not a psychic reading, but I had Michael, you were with me actually. We were on a cruise to Bermuda. I was asked to go on this cruise with you.
Yeah, I remember the cruise, of course.
It was kind of a grief retreat to Bermuda.
Right.
And there was another speaker. So it was me as a medium, another speaker that kind of was able to kind of focus on you and talk about like your past lives.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman who just went up to me and she goes, "You want to know who you were in a past life?" I said, "Sure, why not?" And she goes, "You were actually like in an African tribe. You were really close to your family, and you were a drummer, and you would always bang on this drum, and you actually made drums colorful to appeal to children to kind of help them relax and control their anxiety."
Oh, that's so cool.
And I go, that's really weird because every day I
that's how you do it. You bring in your guide.
And
that's great.
And like, if you know me, I'm always calm and collected, but like I'm always keeping a beat or I'm always tapping on something with my feet and my fingers at the dinner table or anything. I'm a musician at heart, so the music's always going. And I was like,
and if you didn't know, he's also the inventor of the dimple.
So Debbie, yes, we do see your comments. There's a lot of comments coming. I was just trying to keep the conversation going. We
don't usually do the super interactive but
Chris's audience is all they're all.
One last one, but Angela said, "Do you think past lives are connected to family ties or trees?" I'm not sure what you meant by that.
I think she's probably talking about
trees, maybe
ties, family.
Yeah, like
ties.
Do we reincarnate within like the same lineage?
Right.
Family. I don't think so. I don't think that to be the case. I think a soul needs to come to this earth to kind of gain wisdom and experience. And how much wisdom and experience can you gain kind of playing the same song or kind of being around the same people or the same genetic makeup? I think when we come here,
and actually, Angela's she's connected.
Which may be, a certain amount of interaction, I think. But I think, Chris is absolutely right in that, ultimately we're interacting with all of the equal pieces of us because we need to touch upon those energies to get it. But absolutely, there are people who we come back with often because we have karma with them from previous lives where we just
Sure.
Absolutely.
get it
But
right.
it doesn't that doesn't necessarily mean we have to pick the same family
Right,
on Earth.
right,
We can play.
right.
We can be family on Earth, just in a different continent this time around.
Right, like you got to watch the Cody Snyder episode when we put it back, because his story is great with his girlfriend and the connections that they have.
I heard
from
about
past
that.
life.
That's
Oh
great.
my God, it's just such a great. So anyway, before we get out of here, Angela, she corrected us and she did say trees. So I'm really confused. Do you think past lives are connected to family trees? I
It's
don't
the same
know.
thing. Ties, family tree,
amount of
same
great-
family
yeah.
lineage.
I had a
Oh,
very
family trees. I got you. Okay. I was like, because I'm thinking of a physical tree. I'm like, oh, duh, family tree.
I
Family
had a
ties.
very visceral
Sorry, Angela.
experience
Space that.
on ayahuasca that gets, I think, really to the root of this thing, where I was essentially I was watching. Let me explain it this way. It was the explanation for why, even though things are seemingly crappy in lots of fashions in the world, the way the world's run and things, there's a lot of things to kind of complain and bitch about. They demonstrated to me that we are all just energy that existed on the other side before the forebearers that began the roots of this tree. And this tree started to sort of interweave as energy from above went, I love that person and I love that person and I'm gonna marry that person and that person's gonna be my mom and I'm gonna be really good friends with that person. And slowly but surely, this web of connectivity was formed. And I saw it as an energetic braid that went throughout the ages. And this energetic braid was showing me really quickly. I mean, this was kind of like lightning at a certain point for me, but I understood what it was attempting to explain, that, these people that we love, every stupid idea that we have is founded on a reasonable idea or a reasonable man or somebody who tried to do their best with it. Like, it's like, are you going to hate the people who invented the Rice Krispie Pop guys, the Snap Crackle Pop guys? Or are you going to appreciate that they did their job at a really high level and they literally made like an advertising thing that can, you can remember for all time? Or are you going to be pissed at them because they're advertisers and they sold a cereal and, like, you can look at anything in any way. And the more positive look of that thing that they are selling you, are doing a good job with what's there, is the thing. And we have been above in heaven giving that high perspective, going, hey, they're doing the best job and I appreciate him and I appreciate these shoes he's trying to make, my dad, and this plumbing business he's trying to run. I appreciate this moral he's trying to live by, whatever it is. And mothers and fathers and families, and just from that we create this braid that is kind of stuck where it's stuck because we made this together. And so on whatever level, there is that family tree thing, and there are superficial family trees within this giant braid. But I saw a giant braid, not a bunch of little itty bitty braids. I saw a gigantic braid, and you got to think in terms of, we started with a smaller amount of people. We've been getting bigger. That means there was a smaller group to be intertwined. There was a smaller group to be best friends and to be wives and husbands and mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters. So as that group has gotten bigger, we're still just the ancestors and the extension of the energy who started as that little group. So we're just all one big family and all really intertwined. Anyway, it was a very interesting thing. And as I look in the back and I see your tree of life back there, that was what it reminded me of when I saw it at the time.
And that's why I have it. Somebody made it for me, and that's why I have it, because I feel like I like your analogy or what you experienced, because I do feel like, there are trillions of souls incarnating into this world right now, and they're among us as we speak in this moment all over the world. But we are really connected as one. There is something that does kind of connect us all. So we are essentially all family.
The roots become a trunk. And that's really the thing. And then eventually the roots go out, branches. When you grow higher. I just went to the beach, so I got to apologize for what seems like pit stains here. I'm just like sweating, washing sand off my kids' stuff in here. But yeah, that I think the tree of life, has always meant to kind of show, demonstrate that in a few different fashions. That torus field, how that torus works as we spread apart and slowly come back, together. And on the other side, it's backward. We're just all very interwoven. And perhaps in the future we'll go off and do zany things in the multiverse. But for now, we are relying upon each other, as we've talked about many times. We need, I need Chris to give me the new piece of information that's going to make me go research some new thing, because that I'm interested. If I didn't hear that from him, then I wouldn't move forward on that thing. I need my brother to lift certain weights, metaphorical weights for me, because I can't. And you can for others that they can't, and we are
and we'll help each other.
Yeah. So I'm really
we're getting a lot of love.
This.
Go ahead.
When my mom passed away, I had her in my head for just a moment or two before, I was like, oh my God, she left this world. And just in my head, I saw her pass away. And in my mind, I was having a conversation. And the first thing she said was, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I was like, what are you thanking me for? I don't know what you're thanking me for. And then she goes, I experience I'm feeling everything around our house right now. The soil, the bushes, the flowers, the plants, the trees, everything's alive. And I feel, and I can hear the thoughts of everything.
Wow.
And I see Dad, and here we go. Thank you.
That's
and that
awesome.
was just what went through my head. Like it was 3:00 in the morning, and I didn't think I was going to have a conversation with my mom in my head a minute after watching her pass away in front of me. And that was all I got, was that she felt everything around the house and wherever she, was about to kind of depart to from, and it just moved me. And so we're all connected. Everything has life.
I add to that for you to move you more, because this was my mom. She lost so many people, and she has ended up becoming an advocate for ayahuasca because she's seen how it has helped people so much. And she initially went because my brothers were working with it and they were being helped, and she had some brain damage that she was working with. And at the time, I guess the brain damage was probably linked somehow to her sadness over her family, feeling disconnected from her family, or something else or whatever. But she was shown, she was taken out of her body, and she was just like connected to this infinite joy, and like she was seeing all these things, and she didn't want to go back. And she literally realized that this is what her mother and her brothers have gone to. That death isn't a bad thing. It's you're not going to die and be like, oh my God, that was so awful. It's going to be like, wow, ooh, that's a relief. That was kind of difficult being down there in that solid world and all these things.
Right.
I am an idea, and this feels nice to be able to stretch my body. And and people who have had some of these outer body experiences, they get to feel versions of this. Right. And the version that my mother experienced on ayahuasca, according to her and Mother Ayahuasca, was was the release. And she legit said she did not want to go back to her body. And and that's that is the infinite unknown that our loved ones are in. And it's okay to tell your kids, it's okay when you die. Like I was so glad for me when I really realized that was legit, and it isn't okay that you're not lying to your kids, going, no, it's all right, don't worry about it.
Well, Chris,
your mom had this personal, direct experience. It sounds like you've had your moments that make I do as well, of course. Some people don't have those moments. So until they do, this is why mediums have a job, and this is why mediums, I believe, exist. It's to share the knowledge, not painted around religion or, prophets, but just the idea that we think, therefore we are, and we are infinite. And, death isn't scary. Life is hell. This is hell. Heaven is where we go to, and it's not where we just go to. It's where we existed before we came here to hell.
Right.
So we realize it or not.
Totally. Well, I gotta say, Chris, knowing you and your mom and your relationship with your mom, and watching what you went through, this past year, I have to say it's almost like it was expected. I don't mean it was expected. It was not a surprise to see how you turn that devastation into joy. You know what I mean? Because, that's what I see. You really were able to maintain that relationship, if not even improve that relationship.
Exactly. You know, I watched my mom become a shell of her former self, as we all do when we see somebody sick and not doing well. And so I didn't want her to die, but I knew that if something were to happen, that I almost feel like I'd get my mom back, because just past month I went to Puerto Rico, and she wouldn't have been able to go to Puerto Rico with me. And I
Right.
truly felt her in Puerto Rico with me. And I felt
That's
like,
so amazing. Yeah.
you know,
And I
knowing
see
that
that.
she could hardly walk for years to be
Right.
in another geographical location. I'm like, oh, this is what people need to focus on, is when you lose somebody physically, you gain them back that much more, because like Jesse said, they're released and they're everywhere and they're connected to us 24/7. And
What a great,
that's
what a
really what I
great,
want to put
yeah.
out there, is I didn't lose my mom. I
So
got my
great.
mom back. I've had my mom and my dad in my life
I'm so
from day
happy.
one, and I've
I'm
never
so
lost
happy to hear you say that.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
great, Chris.
we are getting to our boom boom.
Yeah, we're over. We're over time, Chris.
It
What a
was
great
lovely
conversation.
So we kept it going. We want to thank Christopher Allan for coming on to the show. Want to say again, every Wednesday night, that's right? On and what are you on where you do that? Is it on Facebook or?
Yeah, on Facebook, facebook.com/Christopher Allan Medium, where I do my live streams. My official website, the book private consultations or get tickets to my shows are, my official website is imstillhere.net. And starting next week, I'll be doing my first show in public, in the first time in a year and a half, actually, in a theater. I believe the show is sold out, but we're booking more for the rest of the summer into the fall. So, all the information is on my official website if you want to learn more about me. But thank you so much for having me. It was awesome to listen and be a part of the conversation.
I appreciate it. Thank you for doing some readings for our listeners, and thanks for everybody who came to listen, all the new people who came down today. I wanted to
thank you
ask
for coming.
everybody out there to please, right now the promotion arm of the show is down because Nancy is under the weather. So if you
why is that up?
Somebody and you're one of our usual listeners, please share the link next week when you get it, and get some people over here to join in the conversation and help us grow while we're waiting for our matriarch to get back in the game. Next week we've got my sister Cheyenne Snyder, who is a designer and a stylist and fashionista. She's you should follow her on Instagram. You'll see some of the things that she does. We'll be promoting her all next week. But I think Michael is going to be out next week.
I'm going to try to be here. I'm going to try, but it may just be you and Shy.
But it might just be me and Shy. But we're going to be talking a bunch about horoscopes and about Shy's personal spiritual story that ties into some more of my family's a little bit that you've already heard. But really excited about that. And we will see you next week, next Thursday on the live stream of consciousness. Anything to add, Mr. Michael Zinn?
No, again, thank you all for coming. Chris, thank you for bringing your lovely audience to us. Hopefully they'll come and see us talk about all of the stuff that we talk about, our crazy conversations about spirituality and all that stuff. But again, thanks for coming, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you with the project that we were talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Much love, Chris. Really, thanks so much for coming on the show. Always a pleasure, brother.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Peace.